are. Yes. They say go to the center seat, so I'm not sure. To me, I'm on the right, so I'm used to the center being on the right, but this is the center today.
I think you got it.
Is
everyone to just work for Senator Scott's seat?
But I think this might be better for me. I'm not, well, maybe I'll just stay here. Good morning.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I was really looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely.
And Senator Scott, we actually connected last year in Wyoming. We did a podcast talking about crypto market and kind of evolution in U.S.'s place within that. And I was curious to get your perspective. I think 2025, we've seen remarkable progress.
Absolutely.
Specifically in the Senate.
Yes.
And I'd love to hear from your perspective, what changed? And specifically Senate banking, you guys have such a broad mandate. So how did you prioritize digital assets?
I got to tell you, I mean, thank you to all of y'all for getting rid of Sherrod Brown. He's running again, by the way, but literally the industry put Bernie Moreno in the Senate, and he's on the banking committee. So really having the opportunity to have a team that's focusing on the industry, because we have passion for people who want to make a profit and help people. This industry does it better than anything I've seen in my adult lifetime. Bless you. Only 3 times, though. That's it. I grew up, as you remember last year, we talked about a single mom in poverty, challenged, and this industry offers a woman like that more access to our resources at a lower cost point. Democratization is real because you are here. Focusing on that for me is focusing on my passion, the reason why I'm in public service. So this makes it easier for me to accomplish the goal that I set out when I was 19 years old, to positively impact the lives of 1 billion people with hope and opportunity. Opportunity is opportunity financially. This industry brings that to life.
That's awesome. And I was remembering the conversation last year and talking about your passion on the financial inclusion side.
Yes.
So I'd love to talk about that in a second. One question before then. You mentioned Sherrod Brown. I believe there were 0 hearings on digital assets during his tenure.
Yes.
Now you've been leading the charge. How many have we had?
I can't even count them, to be honest with you. We've had so many hearings, markups, conversations. Just the other day, I had the administration over. We are working as a hand in a glove, because if we're going to make this happen, we have to make it happen right now. I think this is the most important time in American history for the evolution of this innovative opportunity. And so I continue to have hearing after hearing after hearing. And frankly, we're passing bills. We're not just listening and talking, we're actually getting things done.
Yeah.
And that's what this industry deserves, because it's what the American people deserve.
Totally. And we were talking about it a little bit backstage, but I think the contrast between 2024 and 2025 is quite remarkable in relation to the U.S.'s place within this space, right? Like at FalconX, we operate a global prime brokerage business. We have offices in the U.S., Europe, Asia, business in Latin America too. And for the first time in the history of this space, this has been the most interesting market, and a market with the most favorable regulatory regime, or at least, evolving regulatory regime to really be able to invest locally and build that out. So thank you for all the work that you've done there.
Absolutely. Well, I last year when we were doing our podcast, I gave a shout out to my nephew. I think my nephew's in there somewhere. Little Ben is what I call him. He's actually a rehab doctor at this point. But he went to Georgia Tech, and so back in 2013, he started talking about crypto and Bitcoin, and I hadn't a clue what he was talking about. It took me 10 years to figure out the words coming out of his mouth. He started investing then. I hope he's taking care of my Social Security, my retirement, by the way, back there. But he's the guy that kept talking to me, Uncle Timmy, you have to get serious about this, because folks like you on the banking committee, under Sherrod Brown, we were doing nothing, so I didn't see the reality of it. And then the last few years, because of Cynthia Lummis and her passion for the issue and the industry, we had conversation after conversation, and I decided then, let's create a vision for what this will look like by 2028, and then work my way back.
Yeah, I'd love to actually tap into that vision side, right? And like you mentioned, I know you've focused on making the financial system work for more people, right? And so if we think through that, I'd be curious, blank canvas, looking out over the next 50 years, Or you choose the time period, right?
Okay,
I know
all right.
that's a long time.
Yeah.
But what does the American financial system look like to you? And what are those principles that you would want to bring to redesign that? And what role does digital assets play?
Awesome. I have a dream! Okay. You guys, this is all the fun I get to have, so I'm gonna have it with y'all, okay? I'm gonna walk around if you don't mind a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, good. I like to stand up. You know, if I had the ability to paint a broad brush of the future of our amazing financial markets, I would suggest, number one, competition is a really good thing. And when I think about competition, I think about the impediments to competition. Typically, competition does not happen when those who have a monopoly on our financial system, they walk in the door and they lock it behind them. And they find ways through a lot of forces, sometimes lobbyists, sometimes lawmakers, to create this whole intricate scheme, this web that prevents competition from seeing the light of day. When that happens, we all lose. And so Austin, one of the things I'd like to do is to have more competition by, I've said it several times, innovate before you regulate. That's important because competition needs time to grow up. And if you're crawling, you need time to walk. And if you're walking, you need time to run. If you're running, you need time to drive and then fly. Only for all that to happen is to create an environment that has made America the greatest place to do business on the planet. It's this notion of capitalism, it's creative destruction. For that to actually happen, we need to empower people to want to take the risk. And to want to take the risk here means we have to attract more capital here. So number one, you got to have the rules of the road set. Number two, you have to have the players in place, not just in Congress, but in the administration. And I know you guys have Mickey Bowman in a little while, sometime today or tomorrow. What a fantastic person who understands the importance of democratization. She's been a local small business owner. Her family started a bank, a small community bank. I want someone who sees the world as it is, but also sees the world as it could be. And if I had the ability to paint that on a canvas, it starts with competition, it starts with good rules of the road, then you recruit the right people, the team, and then finally, you give people the chance to jump in, completely be miserable while they're failing, and get better. When I started my small businesses in the insurance industry and the real estate business, the one thing I had to do was learn that I wasn't that good at it until I got better at it, and then get better at it. And if we have that kind of environment, I think that happens. So for us to use this industry as a part of that broader vision, number one, consumer protection. Number two, national security. Number three is understanding the pathways forward for this industry, which is a part of the market structure legislation today, is we take care of national security, we take care of consumer protection, but we also allow for innovation before overregulation. And finally, because of see Cynthia's folks here, Chris on the front row, we allow for the tests that allow for the asset to be defined, SEC, CFTC,
yep,
and ancillary assets, because that's an important part of the engagement. So that allows for more resources to flow to our country that will allow that single mother like me to get more of her money faster.
Totally. First of all, love that vision. I think it's super compelling to hear that. Yep. And in the context of digital assets for a future set too, right? I think that's why so many people in this room are in this space and see an opportunity to fundamentally innovate within this market and expand financial access, both on the retail, institutional side, and globally. I'd love to dive into the market structure and Genius side with you, because I'm guessing a lot of people in the room want to hear about it. So Genius, you're able to get that through and onto President Trump's desk in a divided DC with pretty broad bipartisan support at the end of the day.
Yes.
I'm curious how you plan on building on that momentum in relation to market structure.
Well, relationships are so important. My theory is, if it's good for the American people, it should be good enough for the banking committee. Mm-hmm. So I started there. I assume that there are people on both sides of the aisle who care enough about the American people, their constituents, to work together on issues that we have in common. When I sat down with Senator Alsobrooks, Here's a person just elected to the United States Senate. She was a county commissioner, chairperson of her county commission. I was the chairman of my county council. So I look for common ground, to find common sense, and then to build a common vision. She cares a lot about democratization. And so while she's a Democrat and I'm a Republican, I would look for people who will work together with me. Gallego just had a kid in June. And so I look for ways to connect with him on the personal side as well as on the official side, so that as we sat down, there was this really important thing called trust. You may disagree with me, but if you trust me, you'll stay at the table. And so what I've tried to do is to empower my banking team, as I call us, to work together in hand in glove to make sure that we get things done. We had 18 Democrats vote for the Genius Act. I believe that we'll have between 12 and 18 Democrats at least open to voting for a market structure, a far more complicated piece of legislation, and the forces against it, let me just say it clearly, like Elizabeth Warren, standing in the way of Democrats wanting to participate. It is a real force to overcome. We did it in the Genius Act because I met with the few Democrats individually. I'm doing that already again, and I'm looking for folks off the committee to help provide cover for those on the committee to vote for it.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, similar to, I think, what a lot of people are doing here in terms of building those relationships and just that fundamental drive to actually get something done. Yes. Refreshing to see in Washington, right? I think especially for this industry. Yeah. I'd love to talk about the SEC a little bit, right? I think most people here would agree that Gary Gensler was a disaster for this industry, right?
Anybody disagree? I need to pray for you wherever you are. Okay, good.
Yeah. All right, good. We have consensus on that one at least. You played a critical role in getting Paul Atkins nominated and approved through Congress. And would be curious to get your perspective in terms of what you're expecting from Chairman Atkins, how you plan on working with him. We've seen Project Crypto be released, and really great comments in terms of digital finance revolution overall. What do you hope to see from this SEC?
Well, I think Chairman Atkins is going to do a fantastic job. He's off to a good start. He and I had a roundtable discussion with members of the Republican Banking Committee just about 3 weeks ago. I want to make sure that we're always on the same page as close as possible, that we're doing all of the fighting before we bring it to the surface. And I expect him to do a couple things. Number one, he's going to emphasize and prioritize innovation at the SEC in a way that it hasn't been in the past. And that's going to be really good news. Number two, he wants the industry to succeed. Gensler wanted it to fail. So what you'll have coming out of the SEC is clarity. We haven't had that, frankly, in 5 years, if ever, on this topic. And so innovation, clarity, and competence. I think Gensler I asked him to resign because I thought he was incompetent. And he proved himself to be. I asked Atkins to lead because he is as smart as a Dickens, other than the fact that he chose Bill Haggerty to be his roommate in college. But Bill Haggerty on the banking committee, working with his former roommate, gives this kind of synergy that we've never seen before. And so when I talked about the team earlier, I know we're running out of time, when I talked about the team earlier, a couple really important points. You think about the administration, you got Paul Atkins over there, we have Slacks over there, we now have at the Fed Mickey Bowman who's over there, and then you have people like me and French Hill in the Senate and the House running our committees. We now have a team that's leaning in, and we feel like we have to get it done now. Executive action is not enough, period. If one president hated it, this one loves it, we need a Senate and a House that gets legislation passed. Totally agree, and I know we're close to time. I've got one last one for you. Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm curious, we've made a lot of progress here. From my perspective, we're still very early, both in relation to this asset class, but also its path in DC on the legislative side. What advice would you have for people in this room to think through how they're showing up, can work with legislators, educate them? What needs to be done? Well, number one, fire the legislators that are in your way. You guys did a really good job of that this last election cycle. You elected some Democrats who are good on the issues. You elected a lot of Republicans who are leading on the issue. That kind of agnostic approach to getting the job done is incredibly helpful. I would recommend you elect more Republicans than Democrats, but at the end of the day, getting people who care enough about the future and not just the present makes America the crypto capital of the world.
Awesome. Well, Senator Scott, thank you so much. Let's have a round of applause.